today, guys, we're with Hillary. If you don't yet know Hillary, you are in for a treat, my friends. I'm so excited to be talking to you because so much has happened in your life in the last few years. And we need to update the community on like what's been going on with you. So maybe for context, we start like at the way beginning.
hmm
And you can just kind of like tell us your story and bring it up to today, and I'll just ask you questions along the way. Yeah.
Sounds
Yay.
good. Yeah, I think the last time we did a student success story was in 2021, and I think I was still teaching. So for anyone
Mm.
who doesn't know, I'm a former teacher. I used to teach at the same university as Kristen McIntyre. That's how we know each other. And yeah, started copywriting in June of 2020. Got my first clients by the end. I think I got my first client the end of July. And then got my second client in September, and it just kind of like all started to snowball from there. So I kept teaching for a year and a half after I got my first client because I wasn't sure if I wanted to like fully make the leap into entrepreneurship. I had a little bit of scarcity mindset I was dealing with, and there were some things that I did love about teaching. So I was like really trying to figure out what I wanted my perfect life to
Mm.
look like. And then in 2021, in October, I ended up quitting mid-semester because I was making so much money from copywriting and I was so busy and it was crazy. So that happened. I quit my teaching job on October 15th. And then 3 days later, I found out that I was pregnant. So I was like, oh shit, like I need to figure it out. So that was good. And the being pregnant, it really like prompted me to think creatively of like, okay, how am I going to keep making income? I really want to take off like at least a month after I get pregnant, ideally three. So I spent the next 9 months kind of building up a little team to help things keep going. So I could take some time off after I had Finn, and I was able to take 3 months off. I'll be totally honest, income did dip. There were like definitely some hiccups during that period. But I was able to come back when I was ready to come back, and now the agency has like tripled revenue since before I left. And everything is like going really good. I started out building the team with contractors and subcontractors, and now I'm employing 3 people W-2, and one of them is my best friend, actually 4 people. And then I also have a team of contractors that I'm still working with too. So things have changed a lot for sure.
How big's your team now?
So
Total.
we have 4 part-time employees, which I love to say most of them are moms with kids at home like me, which I think is just really special and cool. And then because we're working on such a huge contract for a big finance publication, I have between 6 to 8 contractors from month to month supporting as well. So pretty big
That
actually.
is that's yeah, that's amazing. So was the agency model something that kind of came out of you just getting pregnant, not something you planned to do? Yeah.
Totally. I was thinking about all these different options when I got pregnant. Like, do I want to just pause work with my clients and not worry about anything at all? And I really didn't want to do that because I had so many great client relationships that I was afraid if I take 3 months off, they were going to go find someone else. And like, I just didn't really want that to
Mm.
happen. So having an agency was definitely not on my radar before pregnancy. And then, it was one of those things that I was absolutely terrified. And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to find people who, one, can like do the kind of work that I like to do, like especially in the
Mm.
personal space, and two, that I'm going to be able to afford to pay and pay well because that's important to me too. But it's just like, I don't know, there was all this stuff, but I just realized like, it's all figure outable. Other people have done it. Why can't I figure this out too?
Yeah, no, totally. And I ran an agency model for a while, and what I realized in running an agency model is that there are a lot of people who are very happy to just like have work handed to them and not deal with the
Yes.
like client acquisition thing. There are a lot of writers who are like, I'd like to just bypass the client acquisition part of this
Yes.
and be just like handed projects. And that's like essentially what an agency does. Like you're the person who like goes, gets to the clients, creates the projects, does the project management. Um, and there are some people who love that. like who absolutely love that. So I kind of want to circle back because you said two things that I'd love to touch on. And I know we have a lot of teachers in our community. So you said something about how you had to kind of navigate some scarcity mindset and then also how there were still some things around teaching that you really loved. And I guess I'd
Mhm.
just love to hear you kind of expand on both those things.
Yeah. Scarcity mindset is just like a recurring theme in my life that I'm always constantly trying to deal with. And I think I go through periods of like, I'm dealing with it really well. And then I'll inevitably kind of like, it'll kick back up for one reason or another. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's one of those things like in all of my years of listening to you and Emily and journaling and like reading books and stuff like that, I still don't think I've quite pinpointed where it comes from, but I have a feeling that it
Interesting.
comes, yeah, I have a feeling that it comes from um, being a teacher in really high cost of living cities and like always having to make really small incomes work on a tight budget. And I think I just haven't
Mm-hmm.
quite recovered from that yet because, we live in Colorado,
Yeah.
like still really high cost of living, um, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what else I want to say about scarcity mindset.
Do
Just
you, can I ask you a few questions? Like, what does it
oh,
look like for you? Like, how does it show up? Because I
yeah,
experienced this too. So I think this is, and I know so many people do. So,
yeah. It always shows up as just like late night anxiety about money, just kind of like laying in bed thinking about, are we going to have enough to do this? Are we going to have enough to do this? Are we going to have enough to do this? It shows up as
mm-hmm,
like saying no to things that I'd really like to say yes to that I probably could afford to do, but I am afraid to say
mm-hmm,
yes to them. Because
mm-hmm,
there's always the question of like, well, am I going to be able to, like, what if money stops coming in the following month? Like that, those kinds of
mm-hmm,
questions.
mm-hmm.
So,
Oh my
and it's,
gosh. Yeah, I just
go,
so relate. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I am getting better about it. I've said yes to a lot of things recently that I've been really wanting to do both inside my business and my personal life. Like I really wanted to invest in hiring a professional designer to redo my website. And I finally said yes to that and it feels so good. And so I'm doing like a full rebrand of my copywriting agency, which I'm really excited about. And at the same time, I'm like, ooh, the savings account is down more than I'm used to, but just kind of like
Yeah.
allowing myself to trust that you can always build it back up again. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's so powerful. And I'm really glad to hear you say that. I'm sure that you have grown in this area. Do you have anything like, I don't know, what are some of the, like, what's some of the evidence that you have grown in this area?
well, I am taking a couple vacations in 2024 that, like, beforehand, I would have been afraid to say yes to because a lot of my trips recently, I've kind of justified, like they've been to conferences and things like that. And I've been like, well, I could get clients out of this trip.
Mm,
There's an ROI. But I've said yes to a couple vacations that the only ROI that's going to come from them is just like having fun and enjoying myself. So
yes.
yeah, I think that's one area that I know I have grown for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love to hear you say that. And I do know because I've like experienced this too. Two things that come to mind when you're talking about this is one, time helps with this so much, especially as an entrepreneur. The more years you go through and the more things that you navigate that are uncomfortable and tricky and even scary, and then you come out the other side okay, it just like
Right,
adds to that evidence that like it will be okay. In fact, that's the gift of rough seasons as an entrepreneur,
right.
is that you come out the other side, you're okay, you're still an entrepreneur, you're still a business owner, and you're like, whew, all right, earn that Girl Scout badge. Like,
Yeah.
and it just grows and it will continue to grow. So I'm excited for that for you. Ooh, I lost my other point. The other thing that I was going to say is, oh, I forget. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me and I'll be like, I would love to hear you chat a little bit about how, well, like some of the things that you love about being a teacher and how you kind of navigate that.
Yeah. The things I loved about being a teacher was honestly my favorite thing was like creating classroom lessons and activities and delivering them and have students like really engage and get excited and be like involved and participating. Like I loved facilitating that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I love creating the stuff. Um, and it's funny because I feel like I get to do a lot of that now that I have a team that I'm working with too. Like just kind of
Mm.
like the team building and making sure that people are supported and understand what they need to understand to like do really great work and things like that. So that's what I missed about teaching. That's what I was like, I knew I was going to miss it when I decided to leave.
Hmm.
But I don't know, I've been able to like build it into my life now.
Hmm. I would imagine are you doing some of that in your other business, Teachers Make the Leap?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure Kristen has shared with you, but in from August to October, we did like a first kind of like beta coaching session with 4 teachers where we kind of like helped them start their businesses, like a graphic design business and things like that. And it was so fun to just work with those teachers in a small group and support them. And so I love that aspect of it.
Uh, and did you get to hear some of the same like concerns and sadness around like leading teaching? And I'm sure there's like a lot of connection that gets to happen in those meetings, calls. Yeah.
Yeah, what was interesting about it that I wasn't expecting was all but one had actually already left teaching. Like one was on maternity leave, so it was a good time for her to start thinking about her next step. The other one, she had just had her second baby, so she knew she was like going to leave teaching and just live off her husband's income, but she wanted to have something, of her own going forward. So it was kind of interesting. I think a lot of people that I've been talking to are just so fed up with so many aspects of teaching that they're like not as sad to leave as I was, which I'm kind of surprised about.
Oh, really? That's interesting. I mean, it's gotten rough. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's gotten more and more difficult like every year for I
yeah,
think teachers to kind of find the joy in teaching. So, actually, will you
yeah.
tell us a little bit about Teachers Make the Leap?
Oh, sure. So, Kristen and I are launching, we're still trying to decide what to like call it, but just kind of like a mentorship program, little course and community. We're launching it in January for teachers who really want to leave the classroom, are fed up with teaching and need some support starting a freelance business and turning it from kind of that feast or famine freelancer life into something
Hmm.
that's more sustainable, and that feels really
Hmm.
good. Kind of a lot of like similar to what you teach us about starting a copywriting business, not just being on Upwork and looking for gigs, but turning into a full-fledged business.
Yeah, and like really making it work. And I just love how you guys have kind of honed in on like, teachers in particular because man, they need support. And I know that so much just emotional stuff comes up when you like leave teaching. I think nurses experience similar but different things. At least just in my conversations with them, where it's like you have a really meaningful job, and to come
Right.
to terms with choosing to leave that, there's a lot of emotion that comes up in that. So I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. How have
Thank
you been
you.
navigating doing both those things, running an agency and this other side business?
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely insane. I will tell you, especially having an 18-month at home, it's like absolutely crazy. But I just try to like be really mindful about blocking my time and saying like I have like, 3 hours to work on my copywriting business today and to manage my team. And then I have, 3 hours to work on Teachers Make the Leap. And if stuff needs to happen after Finn goes to bed, like that stuff will happen then in front of the TV. It's totally fine. So it's definitely a period of hustle right now where I don't necessarily want this to be forever, but it feels like it's for the
Hmm.
right reason. And I enjoy all the stuff that I'm doing. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like when it's energizing and it's work that you enjoy, it feels so, so different. Do you mind sharing a
Yeah.
little bit about your life, like with Ben? Are you like how are you navigating that
Yeah. So,
working and baby life?
yeah, I feel super lucky with my situation because my husband is a firefighter, so he works 48-hour shifts consecutively. So he's gone for like 2 full days and nights a week, but then he's home 4 days in between those shifts. And so he does so much of the childcare. And that's kind of when I work. And then during really busy periods, like when we brought on this Market Watch contract, which we're doing 50 articles a month for, um, then
Whoa.
yeah, so then I'll bring my mom will come and babysit for us. If I like, Shane's working Tuesday, Wednesday, and I can't just shut everything down for a Tuesday, Wednesday. She'll come and watch Finn for a few hours for me. So I feel really lucky that we get to do that because daycare is super expensive in our area. You have to be on a wait list for like 12 months to get childcare. And we just kind of love having him at home. We're trying
Mhm.
to with our second right now
No.
want them to be at home. So I do feel really lucky that I have that support system.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love to hear about how people like navigate that because there's just so many ways to do it. We're actually going through a transition. We like let go of our nanny, and me and Ben
Mm,
are like a few honestly, like I think it's like only been like a week, maybe two. But and we're just trying to figure out like, okay, we're like, when do you have meetings? I have meetings here, and we're just kind of like, and it's
yeah,
actually turning out to be so nice. And I'm like, we can do it. Look at us go. It was harder when he was younger, but he's 8 months now, and we're like, we can do this. This is like, we got 2 solid naps and
yeah,
two people working from home. So we're kind of just like figuring it out. And it's
yeah.
so nice having him home. Like I'm just really grateful to have a flexible like career that we can do those things with.
I
Crazy.
I know. I think I might have told you maybe on Instagram a few months ago you were talking about like the nursing and the pumping schedule and stuff like that. And I was able to nurse
That was
Finn.
nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts. But because like, we have that option to be flexible, I was able to nurse him for 15 months, which was like above and beyond what I thought was going to be possible for us. But just being able to like block off my calendar for when I knew he would be hungry so I wouldn't take meetings during that time, it was such a godsend.
That's so nice. I love that. And you set it up like in the nick of time. I love that
Seriously.
you just like found out that you were pregnant 3 days after quitting your job. Like, I mean, it does give you some time. Like, you got 9 whole months to kind of figure it out. So that's a solid amount of time. Yeah.
It is, and being pregnant, I mean, it's like the best deadline. Like you can't move that deadline back. So it's like I got to get shit done in this time.
Yep. Yep. And then, did you actually ever have a moment where, when you found out you were pregnant, that you thought to yourself, "Oh my God, maybe I should go back to teaching. This isn't the right time." Or were you like, "No, this is the right move because I'll have flexibility and freedom."
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think that I don't think I had any regrets. I think I was like, I know ultimately this is the
This
right
is it.
move. Yeah, there's gonna be some like hard things to figure out here, but I feel like I'd rather figure these things out than have to go back to teaching and figure out daycare and
Hmm.
childcare and all that stuff. So I was like more willing to figure out the business
Hmm.
with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, no regrets.
Will you? Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you felt solid in that and not like, "Uh-oh, this might not be the time to build a business." I think that when those things happen, I don't know, they're just so often blessings in disguise. Like when people, I've had so many people in the community who've like lost their job right when they signed up. And I'm like, this could be a good thing. Like, they'll reach out like freaking out. Oh my God, I just lost my job. I'm like, but this could be exactly what you need, you know? Because it kind of like pushes you into just like not having, you don't make as many excuses, right? Like you're just like, well, gotta get it done.
Yeah, like I've got to
Baby's
make it
on the
work.
way.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your agency. I'm sure people are going to have questions about that. Can you just maybe tell us a little bit like about the structure? Um, some of the clients you just mentioned, the Market Watch. You're doing 50 articles a month. That's bananas. And yeah, just things that surprised you, maybe anything
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So I will say I did join like a coaching group for people trying to build agencies when I was about 5 months pregnant. So I made a lot of progress on my own 5 months. And then it was really nice to have some extra support of like here's how to hire
Hmm.
and like job descriptions and stuff like that. So I will say that part of it. Um, so I started out with, I had already been working with a virtual assistant who was a really good friend of mine. And so she was helping me with stuff like cold emailing and just kind of like answering my emails for me, helping me with some admin tasks. So I already had her on my team by the time I found out I was pregnant and wanted to like bring in some writers. So she was really integral in helping me find like the right project management system and get like a bunch of infrastructure in place so that things were really organized and we could start to build some repeatable processes. Um, so
Hmm.
then I started bringing in some contractors, writers in the personal finance space to do the actual client work. And so they would write drafts of things, mostly like I was mostly just giving them blogs and then I was keeping other projects for myself. And so they would write drafts of blogs, send them to me. I would like edit them and then we'd send them to the client. So that was really the first iteration. Um, the challenges were finding writers who like I guess kind of like sounded like me or could do, like replicate the quality of work that I was used to providing for my clients. I did let all of my
Yeah.
clients know like what was going on. I was starting to build in a team and I really pitched it to them as like, this is why this is a benefit for you because everything will be really consistent even while I'm pregnant, stuff like that. I started letting clients go. So clients that like were kind of
Yes.
on the outskirts, they were like sort of adjacent clients. Yeah. So I started letting clients go and making sure that every client we were working with was like an ideal client. Um, let's see.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess that was kind of the first iteration all the way up until I had Finn. I had like, I think 4 writers. And then I had Ashley, who she started out as my virtual assistant. And then I really like promoted her with the title of account manager so that she was the one in contact with all the clients. She was scheduling projects with the writers. She was editing the projects before sending to the clients. So she was really like me when I went out on maternity leave. Um, and then in the second iteration, so I took 3 months off from my business. It was so amazing. I was like not worried about the business. I just loved having all of that time to bond with Finn. And then when I came back, I was like super excited. So we had lost a couple of clients when I went out for various reasons. Some of it might have been because the writing quality was different. Some of it might have been just because of like what was going on in their businesses. I think there were a couple different scenarios happening there. So I came back and I was like, all right, let's kind of like start from scratch and do this again. So it was my opportunity to really improve everything I had built over 9 months. We ended up bringing in a bunch more like better fit clients, which was great. That's when I started working with or hiring W-2 part-time employees rather than contractors because they were the writers that were like, I just want to write. Like, I just want someone to send me projects and I just want to write.
Hmm.
Right? Whereas the
Hmm.
contract working with, they were also trying to build their own businesses. And so of course they could get more money working with their
Hmm.
own clients rather than working with me and my clients.
Right.
So that was the
Yep.
reasoning for switching to W-2. And I have found just fantastic people since I did that. The writers that I have on my team right now, I don't even have to look at their drafts. They're so good. Like, so it's just been this really
Yeah.
wonderful like evolution of kind of like I don't know, like kind of spiraling up in these 2 different iterations.
Ugh, that's the best
Yeah,
feeling ever when you're building a team, when you get to that level of trust where you're like,
yeah,
I don't have to look over your shoulder anymore. This is gorgeous. Like, it's the best. I love
right,
it. That's
right.
amazing. Where did you find your writers?
So,
How'd you find your writers?
yeah, 2 of them I found on, wait, no, one of them I found on LinkedIn. So I posted a job on LinkedIn, and she responded. Then the other 2 I found on hiremymom.com, which is this really great, like, job site, like, kind of like Indeed, but a lot smaller. And it's just a place for both like mom entrepreneurs and also like mom job seekers to find each other. And yeah, it was like literally super
I
high
love
quality
that.
Yeah, super high quality candidates, people who I knew shared my values and like weren't looking for something that was going to be their sole household income. Like they just wanted something part-time, like 10 to 15 hours a
Hmm.
week. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, hiremymom.com. Love it. I'll go there every time I'm hiring now.
I've never heard of that. I've
Yeah,
never heard of hiremymom.com. I love
yeah.
that.
It's either hire my
That's
mom or
amazing.
hire, yeah, it might be hire your mom. It's
Hire
one
a
of those.
mom or
Mhm.
hire a mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. And I love that. That's so many people. Like I've just become as like becoming a mom myself, and I'm sure for you too, just acutely aware of how many people were like, well, I'd really like to stay home. I've got some time. I don't want to do nothing, I'd love to like contribute financially. I'd love to do something meaningful, and I'd love to do something that's like intellectually like stimulating. And
Yeah.
I just think that this freelance life is so good for that. I love it.
Yeah.
Um and then now one thing we didn't touch on, which I feel like we should, is now you're at like what, 30K months in your agency?
Yeah, we've had like a couple consecutive 30K months, and the client, I just met with him again on Tuesday, and he wants to renew into January or like January and beyond. So excited about that. So one of these contracts is bringing in over $20,000 a month. So it's like one client, $20,000 a month. That's the 50 articles a month. And then with our retainer clients, we're bringing in about $10,000 a month. So my goal for 2024 is to like kind of continue diversifying that, so we're not making like two-thirds of our income from one single client.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but I mean, it's like so exciting. I never, literally never imagined having an agency that brought in $30,000 a month.
That is incredible. Seriously, good work. Congratulations. I can't, that's like such a good feeling where you're just like, holy crap. I'm like, so you're glad you left teaching? Does it feel like it was the good, right choice?
Right. Like I cannot believe that it took me a year and a half. I mean, I can believe it because I know myself, but it's just like hindsight's 2020, looking back at that person who
Oh
was like,
yeah.
I'm just not sure I can make this work. Like, it's crazy. And you know what
Yeah.
also is like my agency is doing 30K months, profitability is really good. And yet I'm still having scarcity mindset. And that's how I know it's like purely a mindset issue and it's not like a like lack of money issue, if you know what I mean. Like it's purely
Yep.
it's like a thing that's in the brain.
It's the thing is like it's good that you're aware of it. Like that's the first step. And there's, just through time and building trust. And it might even be as simple as just sometimes when I work with people one on one, I get them, they're like, okay, I just want to like I want to feel secure. And I'm like, well, what does security look like? And they're like, savings in
Yeah.
the bank. I'm like, but let's put a number on how much in the bank. Because what happens is you hit that and then you're like, yeah, still not feeling secure. And you like, and then you realize, oh shit, this is just a mindset thing. This isn't the actual like number in the bank account.
Right.
And I don't know. I know I have all the faith in the world that you'll navigate that. Your self trust muscle will get stronger. Because for me, the thing that's really helped me with the scarcity mindset stuff is just realizing like if your business shut down tomorrow, your agency shut down tomorrow, my business shut down tomorrow, like I know I have another business in me. I know I would
Yeah.
just rebuild something else. And I have so much confidence in my ability to do that. And
Yeah.
that is real confidence because people who have 9 to 5s,
Yeah. I told Shane the other day, like I will never not be an entrepreneur.
This meeting is being
sorry, say that
recorded.
again.
I told
I
Shane
think the
my
recording stuff.
no, you're fine.
Yeah.
I told Shane, my husband, the other day, I will never not be an entrepreneur because I know that like I will always be able to figure something out. And this is also why I've been a little bit like nervous about, AI and how good it's getting, but also at the same time I'm really not because I know that like I'll always be able to figure something out no matter what it is, whether it's like up leveling my skills or offering other things. Like there's nothing that's not figure
Yeah.
outable.
100%. And I just think what will end up happening and is like what is going to happen is because in this course in particular, you don't just learn the writing element, you learn the whole strategy, right? And, but it's not something that I often start out telling people because I think if I'm like, oh, join this course, you're going to become like a full blown marketing strategist. Like that sounds so much scarier than just being like
Right.
a little old writer. But lo and behold, you go through the program and you're like, wait, I know how to build funnels. I know how to build entire marketing systems to
Right.
grow an online business. And when you know that, like, okay, so maybe the like writing part will become less and less of what you do, but the strategy, the funnel creation, like that's gonna take a long time before that's like taken over by AI. So that's what I
Right.
think is gonna end up happening,
Yeah, I agree.
you know. So, but um, do you have anything? I love to just kind of, wrap up with like if you could go sit with yourself back when you first started this journey and maybe give yourself some words of encouragement, like what would you tell Hillary who was all
Mm,
scared?
yeah, I would tell Hillary that like the small actions really, 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 really compound. Like not only did the small actions result in like you were able to leave teaching and be making $6,000 a month, which is more than you were making teaching, which is amazing. But like if you continue putting in the small actions, within 3 years you'll be making $30,000 months with like a team who allows you to take time off from your business. So like I think I would have told Hillary, like, even though I did do the things, to just like relax a little bit and just like trust the process and not be just about it.
Oh my gosh. I like I felt that one in my bones because I wish I could tell myself that too. And so now I try to remind myself of that. I'm like,
Yes.
the things you're stressing out about right now, like future you is going to be like, girl, take a deep breath. You're good.
Yeah, I'm doing the same for myself right now with like Teachers Make the Leap. Like just chill out.
And it so helps to talk to people who are where you were a few like years before, right? Because
Yeah.
like when I talk to students to write your way to freedom, I'm like, listen, I remember how that feels. You
Yeah.
will be okay. If you keep taking small actions and you just don't stop, you will be okay, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Totally. Yeah.
well, it's so good chatting with you. I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
nice hearing what's going on with you. And I'm so excited to see like more of what like Teachers Make the Leap becomes and your agency becomes.
Me
And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was one question in the type form. Did you want me
Oh,
to answer?
yeah, sure, do it.
Okay. The question was what skill has benefited your copy the most? And
Ooh, that's a good one.
yeah, I know. It's such a good question. And I want to say my writing skills because I was a writing teacher beforehand, but I actually don't think it was that. Um, Obviously, I think that's important, but I think that it's the skill of so having been in academia as well, it's the skill of like researching and being able, like being willing to figure
Mm-hmm.
anything out as it comes my way, which is something that
Mm-hmm.
I talk about all the time. But it truly is like that skill of like, okay, I didn't find the answer I was looking for here. Where else can I find the answer to this question, or where else can I get the input? Like just the, I guess like unrelenting perseverance to like find
Mm-hmm.
answers
That
is
is
like
such
me.
a good one. That's actually what came to my mind when you first asked that question. I was like, oh man, being persistent and then researching. Like, I mean, you gotta want to learn. Like, this
Yeah,
is a job, this is a career choice where you get to just constantly learn. And quite frankly, it's the only reason I think it's kept my attention for 10 plus years. Because I was the kind of person before it that I was always just like, this is fun, but it's already kind of stale. I
yeah.
need to be like constantly learning and growing. So,
Yeah, earlier this year I launched like a strategy offering in my copy business because I was getting kind of bored with like all the blog writing and stuff
hmm
like that. And I do blogs, but so I launched a strategy package that doesn't really include any writing because I thought that would be like more fun for me to figure out, and I thought it would be valuable for clients. Like I had a lot of clients who really needed like underlying strategy besides just I think I should be blogging or whatever it is. And I had no idea like
hmm
what strategy, like all the things that you kind of like need, all the pieces of it. But I figured it
Mm,
out. And like with every single one
yeah.
sold, I've like kind of refined it a little bit more. And now I'm super proud of that package. And so, yeah, I think just like figuring
Yeah.
is definitely,
And I feel like I'm wondering when you started to build that out, were you surprised at how much you actually knew? Because it's like sometimes there's all this stuff floating around in our heads and we know so much, but then it's not till we like go and put it down on paper and structure it or start somebody asks you questions and you start answering them and you're like, holy crap, I've learned so much over the years.
yeah, you know what had prevented me from offering a package like that before, like earlier, was I kind of figured everybody must know that. But then when I had like one particular client who was asking me all these questions about her content strategy, and I started answering them, and then she was like, "Oh, this is so helpful. Thank you so much." And I was like, "I could charge for this." Like clearly people don't know this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, that's the thing is like building a successful business, it takes two parts. Like whatever it is you're creating needs to be great. And then you
Yeah,
need marketing to get it into the hands of people. So
right.
if you know marketing, you will forever have a role, have something that you can offer
Right.
and can make a career out of. So yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, well, I'm glad you asked that question. That was a great question. I couldn't see it because I'm on my phone. I can't have like, oh, we got another one. I'm like tilting my head.
See.
I was wondering if you could share what makes up your 30K month retainer client. She covered it, but you could probably do a brief recap for Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one client is just over 20K, and then the additional 8 to 10K is from other clients. So that 20K is 50 blogs a month, or 50 articles a month. I don't know. Yeah, they're blogs, and
Yeah.
it's for MarketWatch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because the last student success story we did was an update with Cassidy, and she's doing 20K months
I
and
know.
on articles and blogs, and I just love that we're having two back to back because I think there's also a misconception that like that's not where the money is. You know, people are like, okay, they do the blog thing, and then they get out of it or they try to go direct response because you think you can't have big income months with just blogs. And
Right.
then here you guys are just like absolutely crushing it. So I think that's a really good reminder for people. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Ah, well, thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, guys, for coming and bringing your questions. And I can't wait to see what's next. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Hillary. Oh, Cassidy's here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Hey. All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you in the community. See ya.
Thanks.